Parents, let me ask you a simple question. If your child's school knew something deeply personal about your son or daughter, something affecting their identity, privacy, or emotional well being, wouldn't you expect to be told? Imagine your child was put into ongoing counseling sessions at school about anxiety or depression, and you were never told. Or what if a school discussed medication options with your child but decided you didn't need to know because it was confidential? Parents are responsible for their children, period. You cannot guide, protect, or support a child if critical information is kept from you. And yet, across the country, we're seeing situations where schools are making significant decisions involving children while intentionally keeping parents in the dark. Today, I want to talk about why that secrecy is dangerous and why parents and students need to speak up when it happens. This isn't about politics. This isn't about attacking individuals. It's about transparency, parental rights, and the well-being of children. And students, stay with me as I have a special message for you that you're going to want to hear. There's a case out of Maine now being appealed to the United States Supreme Court involving an 11-year-old girl in her public school. According to court filings, school staff allegedly encouraged this child to socially identify as a boy while at school. They used a different name and different pronouns, and crucially, they did not inform the child's parents. The parents were left believing they knew what was happening in their child's life, while the school was operating under a separate set of assumptions and practices. Think about that for a minute. An 11-year-old child, not a teenager, not an adult, navigating questions of identity, while the adults legally, mentally, and socially responsible for her were intentionally excluded from the conversation. Regardless of how you feel about gender ideology, this raises a fundamental question. Should a public school ever decide it knows better than parents what information they are entitled to about their own child? This is where we need to slow down and be honest. Children are still developing emotionally, psychologically, and socially. They look to adults for clarity and reassurance. When schools create secrets between children and parents, they place children in an impossible position. The child is asked to manage adult-level concepts without adult-level support. The parents are denied the opportunity to help, and the school assumes a role it was never meant to have. Never. Secrecy doesn't protect children. Secrecy isolates children. And once secrecy becomes normalized, boundaries start to erode. That brings me to another incident that was raised in a congressional testimony involving an 11-year-old girl on a school overnight trip. According to testimony, this girl was expected to share a bed with a biological male who identified as a transgender. Regardless of anyone's intentions, that situation raises immediate concerns: privacy, personal boundaries, emotional safety, parental consent. For many parents, this would be a hard stop. And yet, these situations often come to light only after the fact, when children are confused, uncomfortable, or distressed. Ask yourself, would you be comfortable with that arrangement with your child? Would you expect to be notified? Would you want the option to say no? Most parents would. And that's the point. None of these situations continue because parents agree with them. They continue because parents don't know, or because people are afraid to speak up. Schools are government institutions. They do not replace families. They do not override parents, and they do not get to decide which truths parents are allowed to hear. Transparency is not hostility. Questions are not hate. Parental involvement is not a threat. I want to speak directly to students for a moment. If you are told something at school that feels confusing, feels uncomfortable, if you're told not to tell your parents, or if an adult at school told you this stays between us about something personal, that is exactly when and what you should tell them. Never be one person at school and another at home, not because you want to lie, but because adults told you to. You are not betraying anyone. You are not getting someone in trouble. You are asking the people responsible for you to help you understand what's happening. Adults should never ask children to keep secrets from their parents about matters that affect their identity, privacy, or safety. That is not your burden to carry. Also, if you know a student is being bullied at school, or a teacher or staff member is mistreating a student, speak up. Tell your parents. Don't keep this a secret. It could save someone's life. Remember, most of or all student shootings by a student are from someone who was bullied or felt bullied. And to parents, this part matters just as much. If you learn that something like this is happening not only to your child, but to another family's child, say something. Talk to your child. Talk to the parents that are in question. Talk to other parents. Ask questions at school board meetings. Request policies in writing. Quiet conversations prevent loud crises. Silence doesn't preserve peace. Silence protects systems. If you ever have a serious problem and you don't get satisfaction from the school, there are many legal organizations that may take up your case for free or give you guidance. Children deserve honesty. Parents deserve transparency. And schools should never operate in secrecy when it comes to students' lives. If a policy cannot survive parental awareness, that policy is the problem, not the parents. This case out of Maine and the overnight school trip aren't isolated incidents. They're warnings. They remind us that when communications break down, children are the ones who pay the price. So talk to your kids, ask direct questions, encourage openness, and don't be afraid to speak up for your child or someone else's child. Because secrecy is where harm grows, transparency is how children are protected, and parents deserve to know. This is Tim with Wise Old Farts, signing off for now. Thank you for watching.